So, Lucas, what is something recently that a friend did that made you feel cared for?
Today, I had like a couple meetings, and today is one of those days you just keep going on to the next meeting. And a friend and I, Jimmy and I, like to get together every Thursday. Today's Friday. That's what day we're recording this podcast. And we weren't able to get together this week. So today I was driving to my next meeting, so I just gave him a call, checked in, we got caught up, and it was like a 5-minute conversation, and he, we were just checking our souls too. Like, man, how are you doing? And he asked me how I was doing. And we talked about that. And then at the end of the conversation, it was really cool. It's like, all right, let's pray. And he just prayed, and I just felt so encouraged to say, all right, slow down, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's all right. And he just reminded me, it's like he regrounded me a little bit, because I was just on this pace today that was a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
And he just slowed me down. And it's like, man, like a friend that's just willing to ask me, how am I really doing?
Yeah.
And how is your soul? And like, all right, how can I be praying for you? All right, how can I, is there something that you need to tell me? Like, just checking in, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it was really cool, I guess. It just helped me to say, man, like, that's the guy in my life that I'm really grateful for,
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other guys, but that's the guy. It's like, just to take a moment, 5 minutes, we got that deep, that fast. And also we looked at the Lord together. We went to the Lord together with all these needs that we both have, but also like, Lord, show us how we should go, guide us, how we should respond to this. And Lord, whatever we do, may we just glorify you with it.
Yeah, love it. It is amazing how it does not necessarily take a large amount of time to make someone feel really loved or cared for. So I think here's what we're going to talk about in this episode. My guess is many of you who are listening to this podcast, I'm assuming if you're listening to this, it's probably because you have some interest in being a better friend to the people that God has placed in your life. So this episode, we've done a few episodes.
Or
lately.
looking for a friend too.
Yes, or looking for a friend. Yeah, and being a better friend is going to enable you to connect with those. But I feel like our last maybe 3 or 4 episodes, we've kind of done a little bit more kind of big picture, sort of theoretical things. Not that there's not helpful stuff in there, but we wanted in this episode to get real practical and talk about what are 5 simple things that you can do, that we can do to be better friends to the people that we are connected with. Whether those are close friends, whether they're people that you want to be close friends, or hopefully this episode will give you 5 simple practical tips to do that.
I'll start us off with one. Okay. And hopefully this isn't the list.
Yeah, you will see. I've got the list. Lucas does not. Let's see if he's right.
Yeah. But I'd say like pray for your friends. Like start with that. And when you pray for your friends, it takes the focus off of you, and it takes the focus off of your needs, and it takes the focus just like you're going to the Lord for someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just like a serving heart too. Like, man, like pray for your friends. And what happens though too, as you pray for your friends and as you see the Lord answer these prayers, you see how faithful God is.
Yeah,
it's going to encourage you. It's going to encourage them. So I would say like pray for your friends daily, or pray for your friends. I don't care if it's a habit that you have once a week or twice a week, just pray for your friends.
Yeah, make space to do that regularly. And this is kind of, that was actually not on the list, but it should have been. Well, one that I would say is kind of parallel to that is on the list that I have in front of me here is check in with your friends regularly. Just like you were talking about with Jimmy, you guys said you have this regular time where you're touching base, talking with each other, and you miss that time, right? That's real life. Sometimes the scheduled thing doesn't work out, but you initiated following up on that and saying, hey, we didn't connect yesterday. I'm going to call you for 5 minutes today. And man, how encouraging is that to have someone who intentionally reaches out to you, whether that's a phone call, whether that's texting you, whether that's sending a reel to you, via Instagram or whatever, saying, man, this made me think of you. Checking in with someone is a super simple thing that you can do that's going to communicate to them, I care about you, even if it's just a little touch point. and it's going to open up opportunities for you to develop a deeper relationship with them, just like you were talking about with you and Jimmy, right? You guys have done this consistently. And as a result of that, you're able to, in 5 minutes, boom, we're going to jump in deep, which probably is more of a function of the consistency of that connection than it is of like some magical skill that you guys have.
Yeah. And just so if Jimmy's listening to this episode or if his wife is listening to that episode, I actually also, we're planning, again, you're right. We're planning to meet yesterday and today.
Yeah.
We were trying to get together. We just couldn't. So I called him like, hey, I can't, but let's check in. That's the posture of that. So he's like, dude, give the people all of it, you know? So I just want to throw that out
Full
there. If Jimmy's
transparency.
listening, you know? So, but yeah, you're right. You know, sometimes it's consistency and checking in with your friends. You know, time is important.
Mm-hmm.
How the time is all lined up, I feel like that depends on the friendship though too. Like what I mean by that, like right when you start getting to know each other, you need to spend a lot of time towards each other, right? But as you get to know each other, if Jimmy and I are apart for a year, you know, I think we can still jump in pretty deep.
Yeah, you have the depth of trust there. That's,
But I think there has to be consistency and time there. What that consistent time looks like, it's different for everyone though too.
And here's one of the things, you know, for me, I'm a pretty extroverted person. I've got a lot of friends in a lot of like kind of different spheres of life. And not every one of those people is going to get the same amount of investment or relational connection with me. You know, I've got people that I was really close with in high school that I'm still connected with, but we probably talk once a year or twice a year. But what I think is helpful to do in a world where we're so busy, there's so much stuff drawn on our attention, is to actually be intentional about this, set reminders for yourself to check in with certain friends. If you're like, man, I care about this person and I want them to know I care about them, I want to be a better friend to them, put a reminder in your phone, write something on your calendar, and just do that to help yourself. It doesn't mean that you care less about them because you need a reminder to check in with them. It's just more of a statement of the reality of the kind of chaotic, distracting world we live in.
Don't shame yourself because you have it in your calendar. You know, don't, like, if it helps you to do that, to love someone else well, if it helps you to love someone else well, put it in your calendar.
Yeah.
And don't listen to people like, oh, why do you need to do that? You know, like I have birthdays from friends and family members on my calendar because this life can throw a lot at you. This world is moving super fast and you're moving super fast sometimes. And
I can't even remember my own birthday sometimes.
Yeah, that too. So put it on your calendar. So check in with your friends. That's a good one.
So here's another simple way that is maybe somewhat counterintuitive, is get to know yourself better. Because if you know yourself better, if you know, here's how I tend to operate in this type of situation, or here's how I'm wired, here's the things that recharge me, here's the things that drain me, that's going to help you be a better friend to the other people. Like if you know, for example, let's say your friend is an extrovert, you're an introvert. If you know I'm introverted and I need more time to recharge, and your friend is extroverted and they're always ready to go to the party, ready to do the next big thing, you knowing that about yourself is going to enable you to say, hey, you know, I really love you. We're great friends, but I don't have the energy to go out and do that thing tonight. It doesn't mean I care less about you. And you can say that's, rather than feeling bad for that, or having that be a source of tension in your friendship, instead you can say, hey, this is just the way I'm wired. I was created this way, and that's how it is. And you can communicate that proactively rather than being reactive in the moment.
I have a story behind that
quickly.
So what happens if you don't spend time with yourself, or you don't spend time with the Lord with yourself?
Yeah.
Or I think Sabbath is something that I'm learning right now in my life, you know, and I've really have just stepped into that, and I've realized so much, and just spending time with the Lord by myself, and a long time too, or just having fun with myself, or going to a movie by myself, just doing things alone by myself though too. Just to be with him, to see what he's doing in my life. When you don't do that, when you don't try to understand, or you don't try to heal, or you don't try to really understand what's going on, and you're not putting the words out there, what happens is sometimes you don't know what your boundaries are.
Yeah.
And what we're saying is like, man, like get to know yourself so you can set those boundaries. Because if you don't set those boundaries, then you really are one of you going to just get sick of each other, and then what's going to happen is, hey, like, you're always around, you're always here, and then in Proverbs talks about how too much of you and they will hate you. It's like no, I need space, man. Like let me spend time with the Lord, or let me go do my own thing, or let me just rest. So figure out those boundaries. How do you tick? How do you how do you recharge? Like you said, how do you really understand? Okay, sometimes like I'm more of like, I think in the guy group, I like to be as direct as possible if I can be, but also like sometimes that doesn't have as much grace or as much like gentleness. Jimmy on the other side, he's way more gentle, right? He like, it takes him time to like, okay, let me think through this. And it's like, dude, just say it to me. Like, what are you trying to say? Just say it. I'm more like, I'm going to just push it out there, right? Or sometimes I hide too much, So it's like, it's helped the guys to know that about me.
Yeah.
So when I say something, or when I'm holding back, or I'm not bringing things to the group anymore, I'm not confessing, like, all right, what's going on here?
Yeah.
They started to pick up those things right away, so they can
totally. Yeah, and if you know that about yourself, you can communicate that proactively to your friends. Say, hey guys, my tendency is I'm a little bit more confrontational, and so if you feel like I'm attacking you or whatever, like realize I'm probably just leaning too much into that. Feel free to tell me, back off, bro, or whatever the example might be.
But it teaches you though too, as like sometimes we can idolize those things that I'm comfortable with. Like I don't want to be comfortable, but I'm comfortable with these things. Like if there's something that you're doing, or if there's something that that's happening, like I don't want to be the person that waits. Like let's deal with this thing right now, right? But sometimes praying through it first before you deal with it, or asking questions, or like I've learned that because of the other guys in the group. And the gentleness. Okay, what do you mean by this? What's happening here? Or like, so this happened, and then do you really believe that? Or like so it's like it's really cool. It's a growing opportunity.
Yeah, and a practical way for you. Obviously, interacting with people and having conversations with your friends is going to be really helpful to get to know that kind of stuff about yourself. But you can also jumpstart that process by leveraging plenty of tools out there, like the Myers-Briggs personality test, the Enneagram. There's plenty of other ones out there that are going to provide you kind of quick hit initial insight into here's how I function. So if you're like, where do I start with getting to know myself a little bit better? I think those are a great place to start. And what you were saying is make space in your life for that kind of reflection and slowing down. That's going to help you get to know each other a lot better as well. So we talked about, pray for your friends. Bonus one, check in regularly, get to know yourself better. Third one, I think that is a really simple way to become a better friend is to let your friends into everyday life. Some of us, or I'm pretty sure everyone has friends like this, where they're kind of the friends that you do stuff with. Like, oh man, I got my friends that I always go to concerts with, or I got my friends who we always go to the lake together, or we play board games together. If you want to be a better friend to those people, if you want to take that relationship deeper, invite those people into the rest of your life, into everyday life, not just the stuff where it's like, we've got this structured activity that we're going to do. Instead, it might be, man, you want to come over? We're going to not have a fancy dinner. We're just going to eat whatever. I'm going to order pizza. Or maybe it's, hey, come with me to the grocery store, whatever. Let people in to the reality of your life versus just those structured spaces.
Yeah. Most of you that listen to this podcast are between, in your 20s to 30s, right? So in your 20s, you're probably in college still. You're in the 30s, probably are single, you probably are married, you probably have kids. The season of my life, it's in our friendship. It's like, one of us is, Jimmy goes to the grocery store, and Lucas, you want to join? Sure, I need stuff. Or I'm going to the grocery store. Do you want to join? I'm not saying that we do that consistently, no, but we've done that, and it's just an easy thing. Hey, you're going and they're going, just go together.
Yeah, that's an easy way. It might not be comfortable. My guess is for many people that feels uncomfortable to invite people into the boring normality of life, but that's actually where real depth of relationship can be developed.
It was fun too. Like we ate, and we went to Costco, and after that we ate something and we chit chatted and went deep, and that's it. It made shopping a little bit better.
Yeah.
So
fourth point, fourth simple way you can be a better friend is tell your friends why you appreciate them. Because more often than not, you might have people in your life who you've been friends with for a long time, who you value. Maybe you haven't even necessarily thought about the why behind what unique things about that person do you care about. But man, don't let it just be assumed. Communicate those things. Take the time to say to that friend, whether in person or text or phone or whatever, say, hey, you know what? We've been friends for a while. Here's 2 reasons why I really enjoy having you in my life. That is going to go so far to communicate to that person why you care about them.
I recently have been thinking about one friend, and she's been amazing. She recently told me, like, hey, I'm gonna listen to the whole podcast. I'm gonna start from the beginning.
Nice.
I'm gonna start.
I'm
I'm gonna keep going. She's like, I'll restart. And I was a little bit encouraged by that. I was like, man, thank you. I mean, thank you. You don't have to do that, but thanks for supporting us, and thanks for listening. So she's probably listening to this right now. Her name is Bailey. That's Jimmy's wife. And I'm just grateful for you. And I'm going to text you after this podcast.
There you go.
So
there you go.
You'll probably see my text message before the podcast. But I just want to let you know, just a big shout out to you.
Yeah. So Romans 12:10 is probably one of my favorite Bible verses. In the ESV, the way it's phrased, it says, be tenderly devoted to one another in brotherly love, outdo one another in showing honor. And I love that kind of the picture that I get when you think of outdoing one another and showing honor is the kind of like, you're awesome. No, you're awesome. And there's like this, you're trying to like level up, one up each other by honoring each other. And like, man, you think about how encouraging is that to be with someone who says encouraging things about you, who says, here's what I like about you. You're awesome. And here's why you're awesome. You want to be a better friend? That's a pretty easy way to start that out.
Yeah. I would be careful with that though. Here's what I'm trying to say. Be careful on the other side. Don't be expecting that. You go first and do that.
Yes.
That's what we're trying to say.
Yep.
You go first and do that. And it is encouraging to hear that. If a friend texts you or they call, hey man, I'm grateful for you in my life.
Yeah.
Or hey man, I'm thankful for this friendship. So it's cool and specific thing too. Like
yes, be specific about it.
Hey,
what do you appreciate about
when
them?
you do this thing, or when you are just, I see how you treat kiddos and how you just are fun to hang out with those kiddos, or I see how you're so helpful by carrying the grocery for us. You don't have to, or I see that do those specific things that can be really meaningful. So
yeah, the more specific you can be, the better it's going to be. The more impactful that will be. And that kind of leads to the final tip we wanted to drop for you is, man, just ask your friends. Ask them, what can I do to be a better friend to you? They might not be able to give you an answer. They might be like, well, I don't know. You're a pretty good friend. Like, what else are you going to do? But even just asking that question communicates to them, hey, I care enough about this relationship that I want to improve on it. And give them time, and maybe they're going to, hopefully they'll come with an answer and say, yeah, here's something you can do to be a better friend. Because when you're asking that, not only are you saying, I value this relationship, you're also giving them an open door to point to spots where maybe you're weaker, not doing a great job. And that's a pretty big step of humility and boldness to make an ask like that.
Yeah. I feel like this list can be a little bit overwhelming for someone that's listening, and
don't try to do all of these simultaneously.
Yeah. But yet I say that though too. It's like, man, like, what does serving someone else look like? It's sometimes doing that thing or saying that thing, right? Love is really an action. It's like, how do I serve this person well? How do I weep with this person well? How do I rejoice with this person well? And I think there's a better example too. Like, there's a better example than this list.
Yes.
And that better example is Jesus. So it's
he went there.
So I would just say, like, man, do as he did. And it's a heart posture too, right?
Yes.
Like, don't do it so I'm noticed or so people think I'm more religious. No. It's like, don't do that. I'm saying what you need to do is just, man, like, Lord, you call me to love others. And Lord, like, I do not have the patience for this person today. Or Lord, I don't. They said this and it just rubbed me the wrong way. Lord, humble me. Show me what I don't see.
Yeah.
And show me how you're loving this person so I can love them well.
Yeah.
And Lord, like, help me deny myself, and like, that's really the hard side about serving someone, because there's certain things I want.
Yeah.
There's certain things I desire, right? And I want everyone to say, yeah, do this. But it's like, man, that's not love at all.
Yeah.
Love is saying, man, like, love is really laying down your life for someone else.
Yeah.
And there's only one person that's done that in our life.
Yeah.
And
Only one person who's done it perfectly.
exactly. And his name is Jesus. So if you want a better example than this list,
Yes.
look at him.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing about Jesus, like the Apostle Paul says, I think it's in 1 Corinthians, that like beholding his glory, beholding God's glory, would become transformed from one degree of glory to the next. So it's not about trying harder. It's about seeing more clearly. The more clearly you see Jesus, the more it's going to change who you are. You can have, like, this checklist is helpful, I think, to have a list of like, oh, here's some things I can do. That's why we made this episode. But just checking the boxes on these 5 or 6 things is not going to make you a great friend. Like you're saying,
you're going to just be tired.
Yeah, you're just going to be tired, and then you're going to get annoyed with your friends because you're trying to be a great friend and they're not trying hard enough. So again, like, come back to Jesus, and then this list and other things like it can be a helpful, like, okay, here's a pathway to move forward. But start with Jesus, man. Yeah.
It's all about the heart posture. That's what he's looking at. So do it to glorify him, whatever you do. So
yeah. So maybe one final thought for you. I'll recap this list. We've got, you said as the bonus one, pray for your friends. Great starting point. Get to know yourself a little bit better. Check in regularly with your friends. Invite them into everyday life. Tell them why you appreciate them, and then just ask them, how can I be a better friend? So, and here's the question for you. If you're listening to this, which one of those can you do within like 5 minutes after you finish this episode? Is that like, man, I'm going to check in with my friend. I'm going to send a text to a couple people that I haven't connected with for a while. Or maybe it's praying for one of them. Or maybe it's calling one of your friends and saying, hey, you want to go grocery shopping afterwards, or go hang out at the park for the afternoon after work's done. Whatever that might be, I'd encourage you to think of which one of those 5 can you do right after listening to this episode.
I know which one I'm going to do.
Oh, boy.
I know which one I'm going to do. Friends, go first. Go first in all of it. Love Jesus more today. And yeah, we love you. And we just thank you for taking the time to listen to this podcast. If you haven't heard, we recently launched our newsletter. So if you're not in the newsletter, you can go to Hey Podcast.
Hey Friend Podcast.
Hey Friend.
Hey Podcast.
Hey Friend Podcast.com.
Yep.
Join our newsletter. Ben, what do they get in that?
Yeah, so it'll come out Mondays, coincides with the launch of each new podcast episode. You'll get links to the episodes. We'll include some scripture. And then probably the thing that I'm most excited about is we're going to give you several resources each week that are kind of like, if you want to go deeper into any of the topics that we touch on in an episode, we'll include stuff like, here's books, here's things that we were drawing from when we outlined the episode, to articles, surveys, studies, all that kind of stuff. So it'll be a wide array of things, but each newsletter is going to include several things like that connected with each episode. That's it.
Peace. Hey, friend. Thanks for listening. We're all about equipping you to pursue real friendships. You were not created to be alone, because life is just better with real friends. Let's get started.